everyone, welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Detutu, and on my channel I share information about living in Germany, living life as an expat in Germany, intentional living and personal finance. Today I have with me a financial consultant, Ikenna. He's going to talk to us about planning your pension in Germany. Welcome to Detutu.
Thank you.
Yeah, lovely to have you here.
Thank
Now,
you.
you're a financial consultant. Can you
Yes.
please give us an overview of what pension planning is for expats in Germany?
Yes. So, in general, pension planning in Germany is what it sounds like. And the issue with the pension system in Germany is that due to the demographic change, the people are no longer getting as much pension as they used to do. It's now serving more as a Grundsicherung, is called in German, so just your basic needs. And that's why people need to think more about their pension, how to plan that they have enough money when they're old and stop working, that they can live their lives the same way they were living it before that, or at least something in a similar life standard, if you want to say.
Now, how does pension planning work for students, for azubis, for employees, for business owners? Because pension is not just for people who are employed. People who are also entrepreneurs need to plan ahead for their future. Azubis are also not left out. Students are not left out. And it's important to have this conversation so that people know if they need to start now or they need to wait till a certain time, maybe till when they achieve something.
Yes. So as Sedudu mentioned, your pension goes out of your earnings. It's currently about 18.6% of your earnings that you pay, which they're planning to increase to 20%. Now, how does pension planning apply to people from different walks of life? So we've mentioned student, azubis, employees, self-employed. In general, if you are employed, whether you're a student, azubi, or full-time employee, then you must pay into the public pension system, as I mentioned, currently 18.6% of your earnings. If you are self-employed as your main job, because some people are self-employed and then do some small jobs here and there, mini job. But if you are self-employed, that's your main status, then you can decide whether you pay into the pension pot or not. So whether you are self-employed or you are employed, it is a topic that is very actual now in Germany to think about. If you are self-employed and you decide not to pay into the public pension, then of course the whole planning of your pension is on your shoulders, and there you need to think even more carefully of how you structure your pension planning, your pension accounts, your savings, and every other thing that will contribute towards your pension. If you're an employee, you pay automatically into this pension pot. But as I mentioned, and as the government has reiterated, the money that you will get when you go into pension will be significantly lower than what you have been used to earning. So this is why it's also important for people who are employed to think about how to fill up the gap that will appear when they start getting pension. So the gap that will be between what they are getting as pension and what they have been used to earning throughout their lifetime, and especially before they go into pension. This is the same for azubis. Azubis pay into the pot as well. Students, it depends on whether you're working or whether you're not working. But if you have any type of job, then it makes sense as well that from your income you start thinking of putting something towards your pension. The earlier you start, the less of a burden it is on you. The less it affects your current lifestyle, because then you don't have to put too much aside in your pension planning.
To bridge this gap that you mentioned, that is where the private insurance come in, right?
Yes.
Right. Can you please explain to us how that works for each of these groups that I've mentioned, like Azubis, for example, or a business owner, or someone who is self-employed? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So there are many ways that you can plan for your pension. Um, Different things: savings, private pensions provided by insurance companies, real estate, buy one or two apartments and rent them out, and in the best case, you have a combination of all these things. She has just asked about the private pension. In the case of a private pension, these are typically offered by insurance companies who have the license to do this. There are, in general, two types of these private pension accounts. First layer is more like replacement for the public pension in the terms that they are quite similar in the way they are structured and the way the law looks at it. So this is, in my opinion, a must for self-employed people who have decided not to pay into the public pension. Then they must have this. It is the so-called Ruru Rente or Basis Rente. And then they should have this. And then there's the third layer. This is the one which is a more flexible pension account where it's much more similar to a private investment to what people do on these broker apps through Trade Republic. So the flexibility is there. You can have access to the money before your pension if you decide to do that. And this one is more popular among every other person. So even self-employed people usually have both. So one as a replacement of the public pension and one that's more flexible, while people who are employed or azubis or students usually at least start from the third layer one. And then depending on how their life goes, they may decide if they need the first layer, if they become self-employed later, or if they start earning quite a lot of money and want to, instead of pay more taxes, save more for their pension.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So for anyone who would like to know more about planning for their pension, planning for their future, or even planning for their children or their loved ones, I'm going to put a barcode on the screen so you can scan it, and it's going to direct you to a contact form where you can contact Ikena about how to proceed, what documents you need, and how to go about it. Now, proceeding to the next question. You spoke about the fact that people do it on the side, people can do it on the side. But for students, since for students, it applies to them in the sense that if they are working, they are kind of already paying into the pension plan. So sometimes students are paying into the pension plan. Can a student decide one day that I want to start paying into a private pension? Like I want to open an account, I want to create a private pension for myself.
Yes.
Is it a possibility?
Yes. So legally and theoretically, of course, they can open a private pension whenever they like. Actually, some children who their parents opened a so-called kids police for them, they can, when they get of age and their parents transfer this account to them, they can just automatically convert it into a pension account. So they can open it. When we talk to such people, such clients, if you want to call them, then you of course need to look at their whole financial status, their whole financial life, and see whether it makes sense for them, depending also on their age. If these are much older students, like people who did Ausbildung, worked a bit, and started studying, then of course you'd say time is less on their side and it's encouraged that they start. But if you have teenagers, then you need to see if they are earning enough to put money aside into the private pension. I mean, the minimum amount you can save in a pension account is 25 euros per month, so it's not a lot. And if you see that they can afford that, then of course, as I said before, the earlier they start, the better, the more they can save until they get to pension, and the more it compounds. So yes, theoretically everyone can do that, but it's always good to look at the whole financial situation and decide whether now is the best time to start, or in 2 months, or for most people yesterday.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. So I like case studies. So I would want us to give an hypothetical example of someone who has a private pension plan and someone who does not have a pension or a private pension plan, or maybe only depends on their public pension. Right. So if, for example, someone who is maybe in their late 20s or early 30s, because a lot of immigrants or expats who come to Germany are right around that age, mid 20s to early 30s. Um, if they were, hypothetically speaking, investing, Investing is the right word, right?
Yes, it's the right word.
25 euros, or let's have it maybe 50 euros every month, right? How does that, like in terms of the percentage, the growth, like what decisions are made with this money when they are invested? How does this um, how does this change the story for someone who has a private pension plan and someone who does not, or someone who depends solely on the public insurance?
I mean, currently, the people who get the highest pensions, if you want to say, are getting less than 50% of what they were earning before they went into pension. And these are people who started very early in their teens, maybe with some Ausbildung, or started to work in their parents' company and earn very high very early on. So you can think about it. If you earn 4,000 currently as your net income, that you wake up tomorrow, you're retired and you start earning 1,000 plus. So that will change a lot about how you live your life, about how you structure your life. If you're paying rent, it may mean that you have to change your apartment. It may mean that you have to change the type of car you drive, or you have to move out of Germany to a more affordable country. It will mean a lot of things. Yeah. So it will mean a big change in your life, and the last thing you want to do at that age is to big changes in your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And this is the difference. So when you have planned your pension earlier on, like I said, a private pension is one of many ways that you can plan. In the best case, you have a combination of different things. So go into real estate, get one or two apartments that you rent, get a private pension, and every other thing that you can do. And then when you retire, if you get 1,000 something and you get an income of 2,000 from the other sources, then you're back where you are before you retired, and it's as if nothing changed. The only thing that changes is that you have then a lot of time. So that's how different the life can be. I mean, you see people picking bottles nowadays. Many people think these were drug addicts or people who didn't work, but many of them were honest people that worked all their lives in maybe low paying jobs, maybe took some years off to raise their kids, especially women, um, and then ended up with a very low pension amidst all these rising costs, and they have to find a way to cover up for the costs.
So, like he mentioned, it's very important to diversify. So it's not just focusing on private. I know this video is about private pension planning. However, aside from your public pension, there's also the Betriebsrentenversicherung that you
Yes.
also have. There's a private pension. Not all companies offer that, but it's an option, right? So as much as that is available, try as much as possible to contribute as much as you can into it. Then there's a private pension. Look at investment. I talk about investments on my channel. So look at how to, make sure that your life is as full as you want it to be right now and also for your old age. You don't want to start thinking about, oh, what can I do now? Now is the best time. Now is probably the strongest you are going to be. Now is the youngest you are going to be. And a lot of benefits are available to you out there, like this video, for example. So if you've not subscribed, be sure to click on the subscribe button and subscribe if you're interested in topics like this. Thank you.
Just to add to that,
Yes.
the company pension, betriebliche Altersvorsorge, is also a very important pillar for planning for your pension in the future. So we've talked about the public, we've talked about private pension where you have full control, but the company pension is usually offered by companies. So make sure to check with your HR or with your manager in the company where you work. And if they offer a company pension, please take advantage of it. There are many reasons to do that. Most companies also contribute, so it's not only your contribution. This also reduces the amount of taxes you pay. So if you stay in a company for 5 years and the company should have been contributing 100 euros each month to your pension, then you've thrown a couple thousands of euros in the air by not taking advantage of this. And in the end, when you're in pension, money comes out of this as well and helps to fill up the gap in the loss of income. So take advantage of it for sure.
Yeah. So this is my last question. Okay. I would like to understand the difference between having a brokerage account and having a private pension plan, because from my understanding, the money that is being invested is also going to be, you know, invested in the market as well. You also have the option to choose what kind of stocks you want to invest in. If you're big on green energy and the likes, or you don't want to invest in armory or guns and the likes, you can also choose what kind of products you want your money to be invested in per your preference, right? So if I already have a brokerage account, why should I have a private pension plan?
The real question is why not? As we've discussed, a combination of things, so-called diversification, is better than having one. But apart from that, there are other benefits of having a pension account. I think, in my opinion, the biggest is the tax benefit. So the government has seen the situation with the public pension and are encouraging everyone to take more responsibility so that they don't have to deal with old age poverty and mass, and we don't have to deal with struggling old age ourselves. Yeah, so they have embedded different tax cuts and tax benefits in this pension account that make it really attractive for everyone. One example is, for example, in the layer 3 pension, when you decide to take it at the end, when you go into pension, you can take it as a lifelong monthly pension, or you can take it as a one-time lump sum payment. And whichever one you do, you will generally pay around half or less of the taxes that you would have paid when you take money out of your brokerage account. Secondly, if you decide to take a lifelong monthly pension, the provider ensures that you keep getting this money until the day you drop dead. That means if you had saved, for whatever reason, only 250,000, or invested and got the returns of 250,000 before you started retiring, and they calculate a monthly pension for you, even after this money is finished, the provider must keep on paying you this pension. If you have a brokerage account, once your money is out, your money is out. Nobody can insure you anything. Nobody owes you anything. So those are one of the major advantages. The other ones is that in the brokerage account, it really has a lot of, if you want to say, the operator effect. So if you are driven by emotions or driven by the news or whatever, most of the people with these accounts are not experts. That's why they let you fill a form and say you can lose all your money before you start this. So if you play around with it a lot, you can lose a lot of your money. In the private pensions, these are controlled, these are regulated products, and they are run by professionals who know what they are doing, who know how to manage funds. These are very sensitive funds. These are not just savings, these are pension accounts. So there are many laws around what they can do, where the money can go. So the money cannot go into individual stocks. The money cannot go into crypto, for example. So they go into more secure market products, as if you want to say it like this, and they are managed by experts. So this, in my opinion, is a very big advantage. These companies that manage pension funds, they have a lot of money in their hands. So when they go to these funds where they invest, they have more negotiating power. They can invest your money at a better return at lower cost than what you do on a retail app, where every purchase you make, you pay a couple of fees, you pay foreign exchange fees, you pay platform fees, then you pay fund fees or broker fees, and so on and so forth. So people don't see it because you have the feeling, I have my money in my hands. But for this flexibility, you always pay a price. And when you do a couple transactions a year, in 10 years, you have raked up a lot of costs which are not visible to you. So these are a few of the advantages. This doesn't mean that the one is one replaces the other. In my opinion, this is not the case. In my opinion, like I said, these are two things. I look at the brokerage accounts as more a saving system for short and medium term expenses, and a pension account for long term investment. Because at the end of the day, if done well, a pension account should support you in pension. Of course, you have access before then, but that's the case. So if I have medium-term expenses, if I want to buy a nice car, if I want to put a down payment on an apartment, then I would prefer to take this money from my brokerage account, provided I haven't lost the money there already. I would like to take it and not take it out of my pension account. Yes.
Thank you so much, Ikenna, for your insights to how to plan for our future and how to plan for, the future of our loved ones. So, thank you so much for coming to share your knowledge.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, there is a contact form that's going to be on my website on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you're wrong. Follow me on Instagram. I'm also going to put the barcode here. The link is also going to be in the description box below. Yeah, so if you have any questions, like I said, this is your contact person. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Cheers.